What's going on, guys? It's Brandon back here again today, back with another series preview, and this time we have the Dallas Stars. What is there to say about this team? It's an elite team. They've been to three straight conference finals, and yet they've not been able to get it done. And why? Why? No, here's why. Well, the GM, Jim Nill, no issues with him. He's a fantastic GM. Year 13, he's been the GM for a very long time. Coach, brand new coach, as Peter DeBoer was let go of after three straight conference finals losses. Glenn Gulutzan, and we'll see how he does as his first year behind the bench. If there's a weakness, it might be that it's his first year behind the bench and not learning a new system, and maybe it takes a while for them to get going. A lot of questions with this team up front. Robertson, 7.750 until this season, 2026, where he's an RFA. Rumors about that he's going to be the one that's going to be out because Dallas has relatively zero cap space. Rupe Hintz, 8.45 until 2031. And Mikko Rantanen gets the big extension, $12 million until 2033. I will be almost 30 years old, so that's kind of scary. Jamie Benn, $1 million until 2026. He comes back on a very team-friendly deal. Ben is not the same player he was. Very kind of him to take a cheap deal. Preferably, you'd like him more of a third-line, fourth-line guy at this point in his career, but he can still be effective as a net front presence. Matt Duchene finally gets a long-term deal with the Dallas Stars after 2 years of just doing one-year deals. $4.5 million until 2029. He was a point a game last year, and he's kind of revived his career in Dallas. He was good in Nashville. He had some good seasons. Of course, his season in Ottawa was one you could forget. Had some time in Columbus, and then before that in Colorado, he's had a decent career. He's like a very Hall of Good player. Tyler Seguin, I bet they can't wait for this contract to end. 9.85 until 2027. It's just so much for what Seguin does. He doesn't play a ton. When he's in the lineup, he can be good, but he's just not worth the money. Third line, Sam Steele, $2.1 million until 2027. Wyatt Johnston on the third line is certainly a choice by Puckpedia. $8.4 million until 2030. My guess is he'll end up on that second line with Duchene. It's maybe move Johnston up and put him on the wing instead of Seguin or Ben. Have Seguin probably can play down the middle, and so could Ben if he need be. So I would move Johnston up personally. Then you have Maverick Bourque, who I'm very high on, $950,000 until 2026, which he will be an RFA. Took a discount to come back this season. Oscar Back, another young player of theirs that I'm also very high on, $825,000 until 2027, and he finally really got that chance at the NHL level last season, which I was very happy about because I'm a big fan of his. Radek Faksa returns after a one-year hiatus in St. Louis, $2 million until 2028. Colin Blackwell, very team-friendly deal, league min at 20 until 2027. Had a hat trick last year in the playoffs, and then was it in the playoffs? I don't think he had the hat trick in the playoffs. He had the OT winner in the playoffs, but he did have a hat trick during the season last season. And he's making league min, so very good contract for Blackwell. Can't complain about a lot of these contracts that Nill has signed. He's done all of them, obviously. Lindell we could go look at the forwards. This team doesn't have a lot of depth because they have so much money in the forwards, in the defense, in the goaltending. Not much in the depth. They just recently signed Nathan Bastian. He's probably their best depth. He's their 13th forward. You have I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Harai Chokwian. I don't know. And then Antonio Stranges, who can fill in if need be. Looking to the defense, you have Esa Lindell, 5.25 until 2030, with Miro Heiskanen, 8.45 until 2029. Thomas Harley, another one. Where are you getting this cap space from that they need to sign? Excellent defenseman at $4 million until 2026, where he is an RFA. He and Robertson are in the same boat, and if you want me to guess, it's probably going to be Robertson, I think, that ends up leaving over Harley. Lyubushkin, 3.25 until 2027. If they need to create cap space, that could be a contract that gets moved out. Bichelle, he's an RFA in 2027. Lundqvist, 1.25 until 2026, where he's also an RFA. Defensive depth. Kolyachonok, who they got in the Matt Dumba deal. Capobianco, Christian Kyrou, and Petrovic. All four of those guys can fill in the lineup. They have some solid defensive depth, I will say that. Goaltending. Ottinger, 8.25 until 2033. Didn't have the best playoffs. He's had that 2022 run really sticks out. He really wants to be back where that is. He's had some very good games. He's had stolen some games, absolutely. He needs to be all the time in that peak form to be worth that contract. Casey DeSmith, $1 million until 2027. Has had a couple rough years. I went to a game where Chicago lit him up for 6 goals, and it's the Blackhawks. So he'll be looking to improve his worth to the team. Goaltending depth, I didn't put one on the board. They have Poirier, I saw, and he wasn't good enough depth in my opinion. So they could be a team where if there's a goalie on waivers that's making league min, they might have picked up a goalie that's just there. Or they pick up a guy like Louis Domingue. That's possible. Additions and subtractions. Additions, you have Faksa, Bastian, Kolyachonok. Faksa and Bastian were free agents. Kolyachonok was through trade. Not too much money spent there. Subtractions, this team lost a lot. And that's where guys like Bork and Bach come in to really fill in for some of these players. Dodonov had 20 goals last year. You got to replace that. Matt Dumba was a cap casualty. He's gone. Mason Marchment, cap casualty. He's gone. Brendan Smith, 7th defenseman. He's now got a PTO with Columbus. Granlund signs a big contract in Anaheim. CC signs a big contract in LA. Now that allows Bichelle to get a full-time role. It allows Lundqvist to get a full-time role. Bach and Bork get full-time roles. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how this team does, considering it may be their last go-around with this core. Their best chances were their last 3 years. 21-22, they still had some chance. They had Pavelski still. But these last 3 years, last year after Pavelski retired, and then 23 and 24, I thought they all had really good chances and probably should have won the cup a couple of those years. 21-22, they make it back to the playoffs after a 1-year hiatus in 21, after they went to the final in 2020. 46-30-6, 98 points for 15th. They're a wild card team, and they fight Calgary all the way to Game 7, where they lose in the first round. 22-23, 47-21-14, 108 points, which was 8th in the league. They go all the way to the conference final. On the way, they beat... Who did they beat that year? 22-23, I'm trying to remember. They beat Minnesota in the first round. And then they beat... Wasn't Colorado. Colorado got eliminated. Seattle in the second round. And then they came across Vegas in the conference final. They went down 3-0. They fought back for Game 6, but then Vegas just smashed them in Game 6. 23-24. Again, first round, they beat... who did they beat in the first round that year? They beat... Jake, you're really jogging your memory doing this stuff. I should mention 52-21-9 record, 113 points. Second in the league that year, 1 point behind the President's Trophy winning Rangers. And now I'm looking at teams from the Pacific Division that they might have beat. Didn't play LA. They played Vegas, and they beat Vegas that time. That series went 7 games, but Dallas pulls it off. Then they play Colorado in round 2. I remember Duchesne with the overtime winner in Game 6. They advanced to the conference final, where they play Edmonton. And then that series went back and forth, but Edmonton eventually pulls it out in 6, and once again, they're out in the conference finals. 24-25, 50-26-6. 106 points for 5th in the league. Another very good season by Dallas. A very consistent over 100-point team, over 105-point team. First round, they beat Colorado this year in 7 games in a series where they had no business winning. I still can't tell you how they won that series. But then they rode that momentum. They beat Winnipeg in the second round. And then in the conference finals again, they lose to the Oilers again, but this time in 5 games. It's all about getting over that hump. It's cup or bust with this team. A definite playoff team. They finished second in the division last year. I think they win the division this year. Winnipeg, I think, has to fall back. Colorado's weakening. Minnesota's getting more and more cap space. Some more of their young players are coming up, so maybe they rise a little bit. St. Louis might be on the rise a little bit. Utah's for sure on the rise. Nashville and Chicago, we'll see how they do. Overall, I wouldn't be too concerned about them if I was Dallas. Overall, I think this team wins the division. Definitely a top 5 cup favorite. And we'll see how this season goes, because they may be making moves to make sure they have cap space so that they can extend guys like Robertson, like Harley, among other players as well. But yeah, that's going to be all I have for you guys in this one. I'm going to thank you all so much for watching this video, and I shall see you all in the next one. Have a good one.